Please stand as you are able for the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus said, "You are the salt of the earth. But if salt has lost its taste, how can its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything, but is thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. People do not light a lamp and put it under the bushel basket. Rather, they put it on the lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish, but to fulfill. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one letter, not one stroke of a letter will pass from the law until all is accomplished. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
Please be seated. They were ordinary people, those disciples, sitting on the hillside overlooking the Sea of Galilee, listening to Jesus teach them. The first four were fishermen, which means they knew how to work hard and how to depend on each other, both to catch fish and to make it back to shore safely. A little while later, Jesus would call another 8 disciples. They were all from different walks of life to join those 4, so there were 12, and they were all ordinary people living ordinary lives, working ordinary jobs in an ordinary village. There was nothing about any of them that screamed, destined for fame and fortune. And there was definitely nothing to indicate that we would still be talking about them 2,000 years later. Jesus teaches them about God's activity in their lives using ordinary examples, things that they would relate to. Salt. You use it on your food every day. You put it in to season your food so it tastes better. You use it to preserve your food so it lasts longer. And then Jesus says something that catches their attention. You all are salt of the earth. Your impact will be felt across the earth, far beyond this ordinary place where you live. Light. You depend on light every day, the light shining from the sun, the light that your lamp shines so you can stretch the usable time into the evening hours, the light your cooking fire gives off as you make meals, or the light that flickers from your campfire as friends gather around to tell stories and jokes and sing songs. Light illuminates things so you can see better. Light attracts people to gather around and build community. And your light, Jesus tells them, is the light of the world. The light that shines from all of you is like a city built up on a hill so that people can see it from miles away. As they follow Jesus, the disciples are discovering that what is ordinary is also kind of radical and unexpected. Jesus shows up in the ordinary things of life, and when you combine that with faith, these things have a greater impact than we imagine. Salt, light, ordinary things that we've really done nothing to earn. They just are kind of always there. They're such a part of everyday life that we don't think much about them unless they're missing. And you are salt of the earth. The earth needs you. The people of earth may not realize it, but you would be missed if you didn't use your God-given salt for its intended purpose. And you're also the light of the world. The world needs you. The people of the world may not realize it, but if you didn't shine the light God put within you to help others, they would miss you. Therefore, let your light so shine before others, Jesus says, that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. The sense of this phrase, let your light shine before others, in the original Greek that it was written in, kind of means the light that is already in you must keep shining to others. The light is already within you because God put it there. That's why we always say this verse during baptisms when we present a lighted candle to the newly baptized person, and we're all reminded of the power and promise of God activated within us by faith. This power and presence of God that is working for the well-being of the world. Now, at this point in his sermon, maybe the disciples were thinking, and maybe you're even thinking, how can I possibly make such an impact on this earth? Isn't that kind of grandiose? I'm just trying to make it through the day in my little corner of the world. And if you're thinking that, you're probably right. Very few people have the ability or the calling to operate on such a large scale. But remember that as Jesus spoke to them, he was speaking not just to individuals, but to a community of faith. And it's everybody in that community, whether that's here at House of Prayer or whether that's people around the world who are part of the community of Jesus. Jesus works through all of us to make his presence known. And you may not realize the difference that you make as an individual, but somebody does. And what you do, really what any one of us does, and this is really significant, is that you just add your pinch of salt. You shine your little beam of light. A small beam of light is enough to help someone else find their way. Too much light can actually blind you from seeing clearly. A little pinch of salt is usually all you need to make a recipe taste good. If there's too much salt, it's overwhelming. You don't even want to eat it. If it's too little, it's bland. Just a pinch. That's enough. And everyone puts in their pinch right where it's needed. And all of these little offerings we make, Jesus carries them. And he calls to the offerings as if they were disciples to accomplish his bigger purposes. Just like he carried one solitary cross on the path to securing the forgiveness of sins for all of us. Just like he calls us to new life and salvation in his rising from the tomb. And as he carries us and calls to us, Jesus also connects us with the promises he speaks in Holy Communion. This is my body, this is my blood. I'm here with you in these ordinary yet holy elements of bread and wine. As Jesus walks with us through faith, he helps us carry on an ancient tradition. It was called the Law and Prophets in the Old Testament. In the Gospels, Jesus calls it the Kingdom of Heaven. which was his way of fulfilling the law and prophets. We heard a bit about the law and prophets, the message that they had of bringing renewed life to the world in our first reading today from Isaiah 58. And we'll hear more about Jesus' life-giving teachings on the kingdom of heaven on other days of the church year. It is like 3 chapters, the Sermon on the Mount, so can't cover it all in one day. The thing to remember is that Jesus' teaching about the kingdom of heaven, like the law and prophets that he interprets, these teachings are meant to be life-giving. They're meant to help the people of the world live in our full humanity, since we have been created in the image of God. And if you have trouble remembering specific teachings that Jesus said, well, we're lucky to have the benefit of being able to look back at how he lived, to look to the way he did things, the places he went, the way he related to people, the times he went out of his way to associate with the vulnerable, the poor, the outcast, the sick, the grieving, the sinful. Look at the compassion he chose again and again, and the stumbling blocks he removed in order to make it easier for ordinary people to get closer to God. Look at his life of prayer and his service to others, and the way he trusted imperfect and ordinary people, kind of like us, to carry on his ministry as in an imperfect and mysterious way as the salt and light that we offer becomes Christ's hands and feet and voice in the world. Amen.